Training Note 0. Before you read anything else, if the request line lights up at 1:14 in the morning, do not say hello first. Let him talk first. The first night I broke that rule, I opened my mouth to give the station ID, and he said it back to me, word for word, half a second before I did. Then he told me exactly what I was about to spill on the log sheet. If you're reading this, Gary finally hired someone instead of guilting the morning host into a double shift. Good. The binder won't tell you what you actually need, so I'm writing this down myself, in order, the way it happened to me. The station sits off County Road 8, between Deal Seed and 3 fields that go black by 8 o'clock. WCRK, 107.9. Country by day, farm reports at noon, oldies after dark because Gary says older listeners still keep a radio on the counter. Your shift is 10 to 6. You run the automation, read weather on the hour, take requests if the line lights. Mostly it's truckers hauling feed or men sitting in machine sheds smoking where their wives can't smell it. My first call came at 1:14 in the morning. I picked up on the first ring, mid-breath before I'd even said the station ID. A man's voice came through, flat and local, the kind you hear ordering hydraulic fittings at the Napa counter. "You're about to spill that creamer," he said. I hadn't touched the creamer yet. My hand was already moving toward the little tub by the coffee maker when he said it, and I knocked the whole thing over anyway, more from surprise than gravity. Powdered creamer went across the log sheet in a dry white fan. I gave the station ID late. He didn't seem to mind. Asked what he wanted to hear. He never raised his voice or lowered it. He said, "Don't read the January script by mistake. You're holding the wrong stack." I checked. Old weather copy, dated January, sitting right on top where the current sheet should be. He asked for Wichita lineman, the Glenn Campbell version, not the live one off the anniversary disc. When the song ended, the caller ID monitor was blank. Not unknown caller. Blank the way a mirror is blank before anyone stands in front of it. At 1:33, the hallway motion light clicked on by itself and stayed lit. Nothing in the hall moved to trigger it. It had simply decided to be on. Second night, I let it ring to 4, the way I'd already started training myself to do. I also decided to test him. Before the call, I turned the wall clock in Studio A 5 minutes fast, hid my keys in the mini fridge, next to a yogurt Gary never eats, and slopped the current weather copy for a church bulletin off the front desk. 1:14, exactly. I answered on the 4th ring. "Your keys are by the yogurt," he said. "The clock trick doesn't work if the battery cover's still off." It was off. I hadn't noticed. He wasn't repeating old information. He was describing the room as it stood right then, from somewhere I couldn't see. I stood up so fast my chair rolled into the cart rack. Checked the back deadbolt. Checked the closet. Kicked the bathroom door open. Nothing. I even took Gary's mag light outside and swept it over my truck. The propane tank, the black fields past the fence. Empty, all of it. When I came back in, the line was still open, and he said, "You missed one place." Then, from the studio across the hall, the one that's supposed to be dark, I heard my own voice come out of a speaker. "WCRK, you're on the air." Studio B hasn't broadcast anything in years. It was the old call-in booth before most of the overnight got automated. Gary keeps it dark because one fader crackles and the phone hybrid hums, but the board still powers up if you flip it. I open the door into that shut-in smell, dust and warm foam and old wiring. The monitor speaker was live, low, playing my own voice half a second behind me, as if something had patched a feed off Studio A. Nobody was inside. On the console sat a little silver microcassette recorder, cheap, its lid scratched, no cover on the tape door. The reels were turning. I picked it up. The plastic was warm from use, not from my hand. I hit stop, rewound, played, my own voice, from 10 seconds earlier. "WCRK, you're on the air." A click, 3 breaths of silence, then his voice, close to the mic the way it sounds right before someone leans in. "Don't turn around yet." I turned around anyway. Nothing behind me, but through the glass, out in the hall under that motion light, A man stood with a phone receiver pressed to the side of his head. The cord ran down from it and trailed off into nothing at all. He was gone by the time I got the hallway door open. Not walked away, gone. Deadbolt still thrown on the back door. Front office locked. No wet prints, no draft, nothing. Just the receiver cradle in Studio B rocking on its own, on a phone that isn't wired to anything anymore. I called Gary at 2:02. He picked up on the fifth ring, irritated, until I said the words microcassette recorder, and then he went quiet in a way that told me more than anything he said after. He told me to put it in the bottom drawer under the prize forms and leave it alone. He told me about Martin Vale, who had this shift before either of us. Local man, knew every grain price and every obituary before the paper ran it. Good on air. Then one winter he started taking calls from a number that never traced. Started reading road conditions for stretches that don't appear on any county map. Called a tractor rollover before dispatch even had the page. He drove home after sign-off one night and put his truck nose first into the drainage ditch on Finch Road. They found him at dawn with the radio still playing. If he asks for that song again, Gary said, don't play it. That's when the request line lit up, right through my open handset. I didn't answer it. Let it ring 10 times and stop on its own. 30 seconds later, every meter on the board dropped at once. The song kept playing in my headphones, but the transmitter monitor went flat. Dead air across the whole county, the kind of thing that gets you fired faster than showing up drunk. I checked automation, running fine. Output patched. Then the intercom to the transmitter shed buzzed, that old beige box on the wall nobody uses anymore. I hit talk expecting static. Instead, I got our own station feed playing back at me from somewhere outdoors. Crickets under it, wind moving over an open field, a truck downshifting somewhere out on the state route. Then his voice, layered over the song. Come here where your voice goes. The back door stood 6 inches open, bumping gently against the frame. I know I'd checked that deadbolt twice. Cool air came in off the fields, carrying cut alfalfa and wet dirt. On the threshold, right in the gap of the doorway, sat the little silver recorder. It was not in the drawer, where Gary told me to leave it. When I bent down to pick it up, I saw fresh tire tracks in the gravel, pulled in off the road, stopping about 4 feet short of the door. The recorder was already playing when I picked it up. I hadn't touched a button. Its speaker hissed, then gave me the sound of my own breathing, close and fast. After that, footsteps on gravel, a hand on the metal door. None of it sounded old. It was running about 20 seconds ahead of me. I heard myself say hello. I hadn't said it yet, because hearing your own voice is stronger than good sense. I said it anyway, the same way, half a beat behind the tape. It kept going. Footsteps crossing the lot toward the road, mine if I kept walking. The electric tick of the on-air sign through the wall. His breathing close to whatever mic had caught all this, like he stood right in front of it. Then my recorded voice said, "There's somebody in the driver's seat." I looked up. An old pickup sat at the edge of the lot with its headlights off. Square body, oxidized red, maybe an 80s Chevy. A shape behind a wheel. One hand raised to the side of its head, like it held a phone that wasn't there. The tape in my hand said, in my own voice, "That isn't a man. This is the part I need you to treat as procedure, not story. If the line lights at 1:14, let it ring to 4. If he says something you are about to do before you've done it, hang up and pull the transmitter breaker in the hall. Do not go into Studio B, even if you hear yourself on the monitor. If you find the recorder, do not play it more than a few seconds ahead. It gets easier to obey than it should. That's the part that scares me most, not him. What climbed out of that truck had the right clothes first. Work jacket, ball cap, boots caked with dried field mud. Then it straightened under the yard light and the shape stopped agreeing with itself. The jacket hung off shoulders too narrow and too high. The neck moved wrong, full of small shifting joints under the skin, like a fist opening and closing over and over. Where a face should have started, there was only smooth, pale pressure, one dark wet line crossing it, trying different places to be a mouth. It lifted a receiver that wasn't there, to the side of that line. From the open station door behind me, my own voice went out live across the county. Clear, calm, not mine anymore. He's found the new one now. Behind this desk, the request line just started ringing. Subscribe if you want to know whether I answer.